Am I the asshole? My husband has cancer. My husband, 32 meters, and I, 32F, have been together for 14 wonderful years. 5 years ago my husband was diagnosed with stage 4 of testicular cancer. He beat it after going through chemo, radiation and surgery. I was with him through it all and worked my butt off to make sure he was financially, physically and emotionally okay. I did my best to be strong for him. My relationship with his family became strained after they attempted to give him holistic medicine and I wouldn't allow it because it wasn't doctor approved. At one point his mother blamed me for his cancer, saying I caused it. Anyway, it led to many stressful months of having to take care of him and dealing with his family, especially since he was staying with his mom since we were renting out a room in a house and it wouldn't be suitable for him. Fast forward, he beat it, we were able to get married and continued with our lovely life. Unfortunately, he was recently diagnosed with testicular cancer again. We noticed similar changes in his body and took him straight to the ER where they told us the cancer had returned. He recently started his chemo and this time it is kicking his butt straight from the get-go. I've been doing my best to help him through it again and making sure he has what he needs. Luckily we have our own home, which makes it easier for us to have our peace. His family comes by to help now and then. His mom still makes snide remarks as to me making sure he eats all the fruit and food she brings. Telling me I need to cook, mind you. I work 40 hours a week, and I'm juggling housework, cleaning, working, taking care of our fur babies and working on reports for my job. If I'm being quite honest, I'm taking care of everyone but myself, but that's a story for another day. During their last visit they told me they would be celebrating Thanksgiving at our home. I was very upset as they invited themselves without even notifying us. I snapped at my brother-in-law and said, hell no. He asked if I didn't want them there and I said, no. They claimed to want to make it easier for my husband, however, I don't want to deal with them while also stressing about taking care of my husband. My husband and I had already talked about going over to their home, so if he gets tired we can easily leave and come home to peace. As I mentioned, my relationship with my mother-in-law is not good. While having a moment with my husband at the hospital after his last testicle was removed, I was reassuring him that I didn't see him any differently and I loved him deeply. He was sad because he said he wasn't man enough for me. She interjected herself when it was supposed to be a moment between husband and wife. That's just one of the many times that she's overstepped. I'm trying to understand her as she is his mother, but there's just too much bad history that makes me get anxiety whenever she's around. Am I the asshole for telling his family they are not welcome to host their Thanksgiving at my house? Not the asshole. Even if everybody were healthy, this would be rude AF. They're mad you're not unilaterally going along with what they decided, without discussing with you first, when the burden is on you the most. I could maybe understand if they approached it as, what would be easiest? For him to travel to us or for us to come to you, and we'll cater, bring the food. But if it was anything other than that approach, you have zero to feel bad about. It's your house, you have a right to say no, period. Because we care so much and we want to lessen your burden, we're going to crowd into your house and demand a large, festive meal during one of the most stressful times of your life. Love you. Fuck no, not the asshole. I suspect you've been a little too kind for 14 wonderful years about his family trampling all over your boundaries. Good on you for taking a stand. Sure, they wanted to make it easier for your husband, but not for you. Not the asshole. First off, I'm sorry about your husband's cancer. You're going above and beyond to take care of him. That takes courage and I commend you for that. As for the meat and potatoes of the matter, you're not the asshole for not wanting them over, especially since they invited themselves without your permission. If there is a carers association where you live, reach out as they may be able to provide some practical support. I'm sorry life is so hard. Not the asshole at all. A very caring and loving woman. Just let the in-laws know you will not be cooking, so if they want food they need to host. If she thinks you're doing such a shit job, why aren't they coming around and helping you to look after their loved one who's on chemo for cancer? It's like she wants to point out that you're doing things wrong but doesn't actually care about your husband enough to rectify it. You did the right thing by keeping your house a place of peace where he can heal. Am I the asshole for not caring that my ex has cancer? I, 27F, had my first relationship right after graduating high school and it lasted for 4 years. I was a straight-laced, shy and super socially awkward kid. I made friends with a guy in my class who was practically the opposite of me. Outgoing, liked to party, take lots of risks, and overall wanted to have a good time and didn't take anything too seriously. We dated for 4 years. We honestly should have never dated. It was train wreck of a relationship. One of my deal breakers was smoking. For personal reasons I didn't want to deal with it in regards to so. He however told me he didn't smoke only for me to find out he did. Now you probably are wondering why I never just left. You see, that was where the begging, crying and promising to change part came in. Which gullible me would give in and say okay to every time. He just continued to lie throughout the relationship, and it wasn't just for smoking, but many other things. I found out he was telling everyone I was some gold digger despite me paying for 70% of our dates and things while he crashed in my place. He did not respect a no in terms of intimacy. Told me he almost cheated on me. He was never reliable or on time to anything. Being with him made me into the ugliest version of myself. Anyways, eventually after 4 years he dumped me. Claimed he hated me and was embarrassed to be seen with me. It is what it is. I was heartbroken for a bit. 4 years of a fairly manipulative relationship kinda took its toll on me, and I was probably fairly attached to him. I had entered my young adulthood with no sense of identity either and never took the chance to explore and develop myself. 9 months later he messaged me on my birthday. All he had to say was, "I know there's nothing to be happy about RN, but happy birthday." At that point something clicked. I was low-key flourishing during lockdown, so he could speak for himself. I messaged him to delete my number and proceeded to block him on everything. Figured that bridge was burned, time to move on. I don't want to bring baggage into any new friendships, relationships. 5 years later, I am happy. Pretty content when out of nowhere my best friend messages me saying my ex reached out to her. He claimed he wanted her to give me a letter since he assumed I was still mad at him. He claimed he wanted to thank me for a lot of things, but to also invite me to his funeral if I would go because he was dying from stage 3 cancer. Well, my response to my friend was, "What's any of that got to do with me?" She was a little surprised. Said sure he never treated me well, but that what he was going through was awful. Others shared a similar sentiment. Don't get me wrong, what he is going through is devastating, but it literally does not impact my life. My circle is small, but I am a ride or die for those people in that circle, and he removed himself long ago. I gave him my email for the letter. Should I have more empathy, or am I a jaded asshole? Not the asshole. You are protecting your continued peace from someone that had a negative impact on your life for 4 years. Being sympathetic as a human being for another human being is natural, and what he is going through certainly is unfortunate. However, you should not feel obligated to attend the funeral of a person you pretty decisively cut out of your life several years prior. He's trying to manipulate you for sure. Stage 3 is not stage 4, and while horrible, doesn't necessarily mean that you're planning your funeral at that moment. He's looking for sick sympathy. He did not respect a no in terms of intimacy. This is rape, sexual assault. I believe people should be allowed to celebrate any misfortunes that happen to their abusers, rapists. Not the asshole, "I'm so sorry for what happened to you." Not the asshole. Like you said, the bridge is burned. You should have left long before it ended, but you didn't. Lucky for you, he did the heavy lifting for you and set you free. In the most ass way possible, but he did. Now he's just somebody that you used to know. The correct course is to have general empathy. Say, "I'm sorry to hear you're going through this." Thoughts and prayers. Then put it right back in your rear view where it belongs. Most of the responses I've read to this point accept he has cancer, but fuck him anyway. But I don't for 1 second believe it's true. His claims of cancer are more fake, the most fake op I have ever read on here. Ignore him either way. NTA. Not the asshole. You don't have a relationship. You haven't had a relationship for 5, almost 6 years. There's nothing there. If you'd kept in touch, sure, but there is simply nothing there. Also, if you're jaded, it's probably because he lied to you, lied about you, and said terrible things to you, only to cry and beg you to stay, only to do it all again. Are you jaded, or are you wise to his ways? Would I be the asshole if I tell my husband's ex she has to move out? I, 35F, have been married to my husband, 37M, for 1 year, but we've been together for 3. He has 2 children, 6F, 8M, from his previous relationship. We do not have any kids together. Their mom, Ann, 34F, has 1 other child, 4F. They have a good co-parenting relationship, and Ann and I get along. The last week when Ann picked up the kids, we have week on week off, she told us that the kids might need to spend a few weeks with us because her and her current husband are getting a divorce. The house is in his name, he had it when they got together, and she's been a stay-at-home mom for their whole relationship. She said she was going to stay with her sister, but they don't have enough room for all 3 kids. I jumped in before my husband could say anything and offered her the guest room and told her the girls can share a room here just like they do at her house. That way she didn't have to miss her time with the kids, and we could help with her daughter while she gets a job and gets things figured out. She thanked us and said she'd let us know when she would be moving out as soon as she could. My husband asked me if I was 100% okay with it, and that it would be fair to get her in here and then have an issue later. I told him I was okay and we'd work through anything that comes up. That was 3 months ago. She's lived with us for 2 months now and everything is great. It's actually better than great if I'm being honest. Having her here means I don't have to take both kids to the store if I need something for dinner. Housework is divided between 3 people. She's gotten a job and isn't having to pay for childcare, which is about $700 a week in our area. Even though I told her she didn't have to, she is giving us $500 a month for bills. I was talking to my sister and cousin at our early Thanksgiving and my sister said I'm crazy for letting her stay with us. That I'm devaluing myself as a partner, and being an asshole to myself, for allowing this to continue. My cousin agrees with her. She said the only reason his ex would agree to stay is if she still wanted to sleep with him, and him agreeing means he wants it too. I don't see them behaving any differently than before, and I truly trust my husband. But now I'm starting to doubt my decision. Would I be the asshole if I tell her she needs to find somewhere else to live? Am I the asshole to myself if I don't listen to them and let her stay? Update. Thank you all for your comments. You're right, this isn't the first time I've let my older sister's comments get into my head. I sent her a text and told her that my household isn't her concern, and if she doesn't trust the man in her life she should focus on her own. Thanks for the reality check. Anne is dying over the number of sister wives comments. Have a good evening and happy holidays to everyone less than 3. That sounds like a great arrangement. I wish my husband's ex wasn't trash. Rolling on the floor laughing. But absolutely don't let your family mess up a good thing. YWBTA if you kicked out the ex based on your sister's and cousin's commentary. You don't have a problem with your husband's ex. You have a problem with your own spine. You even liked the arrangement you have going on until you mentioned it to someone else, and you allowed their baseless criticism to intrude on something that you yourself said was good for everyone involved. Like what you like, keep the husband's ex there until she's ready to move out if it's making everyone happy, and tell your sister and cousin to kick rocks if they have any judgmental and unwanted thoughts to spew again. You are not the asshole here. Everything seems to be going great. Amazingly so. YWBTA if you listened to your idiot sister and cousin, and broke up you happy home. Yeah, it's a bit of a sister-wife situation, but I think you can trust your husband not to F his ex, and that is the only downside I can see of having a sister-wife. Enjoy. If you are wanting to ask because of what your sister and cousin said, then you are the asshole and you let them get in your head. As a person that comes from a weird mixed family situation, you yourself said it's working. There haven't been any issues, everyone's happy, and most importantly no one is trying to sleep with your husband. I'm only assuming you wouldn't have let her stay if you thought this would be an issue. Do what works for you and your family. Don't let everyone else's judgments affect your kids and family life. Do what makes you and your family happy. If that now includes the ex, so be it. Not the asshole. In fact, you are amazing. I think you would be a fool to change the situation if it is truly working out well for everyone. The kids must love it. Talk to your husband. See where he is at. This could be tough for him. But if he is cool with his ex being there, it seems like a winning situation. Probably best to start talking about the future with the ex though. I don't think even a good thing like this can last forever. YWBTA if you kicked her out, just because your cousin and sister have such low self-esteem and trust issues, that they not only hoisted them upon you, but you allowed them to get into your head. You, yourself, said everything was great and she's being fair. These decisions you should be making with your husband, not just taking over. You are not his boss but partners. You start doing that, like kicking her and his kids out of the house, and you'll be sorry. Seriously, take a step back. If you want her out, talk it over with him and he can tell her to leave. Am I the asshole? Only putting my name on my group's assignment since they did not contribute. So for context, I am a high school senior. For first period I have English 4, we all had to do a group assignment and it was a group discussion, and after the discussion we had to answer the 5-6 questions the teacher gave us. After 15 minutes, after the teacher handed us the assignment, the group did not do anything, not even touch the paper. There are 2 guys and 1 girl. The 2 guys were on their phone playing video games while the girl was just scrolling on social media. So I decided to take responsibility in taking the paper and doing the work. Mind you, I tried to make them contribute by asking them questions, but they weren't answering me. After 20 minutes, I finished the questions and had the paper near me. I put my name and claimed to be finished, but the group expected me to put their names as well when they did not help me at all. They left the work to me, but expected me to put their names on it since we are a group. Today, I walked in class and it seems like they're all ignoring me. Apparently one of the guys told me that it was my fault that they didn't contribute and that all I do is hog the paper, but the paper was in front of the guys for 15 minutes. I keep thinking, but I don't know, am I really the asshole? Not the asshole, they don't get to be upset at not getting credit for work they didn't do. Not the asshole. Former HS teacher here. You should have informed the teacher at the end of the period or when you turned in the paper. Explain the situation and leave it to the teacher to resolve. It's not your job to motivate your classmates. It's also not the teacher's job to motivate them, especially when they're seniors or even juniors. The teacher's job is to assign a grade based upon the work submitted. Sit elsewhere or ask to be moved if there's assigned seats. Ask to not be put in a group with those same students again. Beyond that, there's nothing else you can or should do. Not the asshole. They didn't do the work, they don't deserve the credit. Not the asshole. They tried to get a free grade out of your work. They FAFO, they got exactly what they put in, which was nothing, lol. Not the asshole. If they wanted their names on it, and they feel they did the work, why didn't they put their names on it themselves? They're just lazy, rude, and entitled. Sorry for the grammar mistakes.